So I wanted to like continue our conversation and talk a little bit about anger. And I'm really appreciating what you're saying about bringing the shame and welcoming the frightened parts and welcoming the child and welcoming the perfectionist and the hopelessness. And lately, I have been experiencing so much anger. And I'm learning how to have a conversation with that part and finding so much passion, so much fuel, so much like transformation and opportunity to like take that and change and transform. And so I want your perspective on what about the angry parts? What about the
Wow. I
rebel?
mean, for a start, let me just say I'm so inspired to hear that that's your experience, and that as you connect with the parts that hold that energy, you are feeling appreciative about them. Because I think particularly as children, when we sensed a lack of resonance or a lack of integrity in the adults around us, and we knew that something wasn't right,
Yes,
that we were being
exactly.
BS'd, or that we
Totally.
were being abused, like, on a whole other level, there was a real sense as children that we actually were taking our own life in hand if we were going to express that anger. And maybe particularly as women, that's a whole other subject that I'm going to put on a shelf for another time. But actually, anger wasn't really okay or safe to express as children oftentimes. And so a lot of us have done some really, really effective stuffing of that anger. I see that a lot of the times in women like me who had really serious cycles, negative cycles with food and body image.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, how do we stuff that anger, that passion, that anger, that rage, that's not right, that fierceness that is just innate in every human being.
Mhm.
And I would say alcohol is probably one of the fastest ways to numb that out.
Right, numbing, and for some kind of being able to also act as a channel for it, right? Those people that do get violent through that, there is some kind of a venting, although of course we know with alcohol, we're not really getting in touch with our feelings or emotions. There's a destructive venting, if you like, that can harm people around us if we
That
take that
is
off.
so true.
So I think it's
So,
important to stay
yeah.
connected to the energy like you are doing.
Well, my experience is I can feel it, and instead of pointing the fingers, because I always know there's three pointing back, right? And instead of like directing it at a person or a thing or a situation, there's a new appreciation for letting that just be an energy and hearing it speak. And in that speaking, I'm not aiming it at a particular person, but there is a certain release, and in that release, I'm finding wisdom. I'm finding my purpose in life. I'm finding fuel. It's like an alchemy. So is this the kind of work you do? And are we on the same page here? It feels like.
I mean, absolutely. My sense of you is that you have a deep connection or intuition with your physical experience. So your body, how energy flows through your body. And so that with the awareness of anger, it sounds to me like what you're doing is you're allowing it to flow, that you actually have that spiritual containment, that it's safe for it to flow within you. So for example,
Hasn't always been that way.
right.
And
So
that
some kind
spiritual
of healing
container.
process.
Yeah, that spiritual container. I love that you use that word. It's like loving presence, like having enough of a loving presence in the house simultaneously while what has been stuffed and created chronic pain in my body, not
Mhm.
just addictive cycles, but chronic pain in my body needs to get out.
Yeah. I think sound, I think movement, I think breath, these things can heal experiences in our childhood when that loving containment just was not our reality. Even if just in a moment at school, for example, it may not even be that we were from dysfunctional families, but at school it was not okay to make these sounds. If someone hurt us, we were probably seriously scolded for that. That wasn't part of the rules. And so to have to contain that experience of anger or intense anger as children did stuff to our bodies. It kind of constricted, contracted. We got into certain patterns, spinal patterns, where we're kind of pulling down, fighting gravity. we can be in these patterns a long time. So I'm absolutely celebrating the release that you're allowing yourself to experience, and the safe containment in your home and in your body that is supporting this unfolding. Because I truly believe that as you're doing that work of healing for yourself, you're also opening up to allowing other women, other people to do the same.
Well, I'm celebrating that this, you in my life has been an invitation to go deeper in this realm. I'm celebrating that you do this work with others, that you talk about it, that you have the courage to bring the freedom steps and the Fab Freedom program to the world, and really empower people to go through this. This is the real work. And it's
Right.
so amazing. It's like on the other side of this, there is an integration and a centeredness and a stability within. That's my experience. Oh, and what are your clients? I'm sure you've dealt with anger. We've talked about hopelessness, the frightened parts. What's on the other side for most people?
It
Does it
certainly
ever end?
is. Oh, well, I mean, it hasn't for me. Certainly channeling some of that energy and channeling it into my work and my purpose and my passion is important, because let's be honest, there are things in this world that are just not right. So, I'm not encouraging people to be okay with everything that's happening, to kind of be these like calm, cut off Buddhas floating around with no anger, having vented it all or having channeled it all, because that would be an inappropriate response to this world where there is shit and there is cause to bring that energy. And yet, when we're not really in touch with it in our bodies, when we don't really know how that flow works or how we can kind of really hold that containment, we aren't really expressing it in a way that creates positive changes. We're probably just getting into the dynamic of you're right, I'm wrong, let's be in a battle, which just escalates the drama and the chaos and the fighting, actually. But if we can do the deep dive and drop our buckets into that deeper well, where calmness flows and we feel the safety of all our emotions, then actually we can respond to the challenges in life, not only for ourselves inside or in our families and communities, but actually globally. Some of the shit we've got going on right now as humans, we can respond from that deeper place of love and compassion. And that's where true ripples of change get to be made.
It's alchemy, and you're an alchemist, and hats off to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joy. What a pleasure to talk to you about anger. I love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Love what you're doing.
Mm.